Ever feel like you get better just because you thought a treatment would work?
Yeah.
You know, even if it was something as simple as just taking a vitamin?
Yeah.
Well, that's the placebo effect in action. And that's what we're diving deep into today.
That's right.
We're really going to get into the science behind this whole thing.
Absolutely.
How our beliefs can actually have a real impact on our physical health.
Yeah.
We've got a whole bunch of clinical research studies to go through so we can really unpack this whole thing.
It's fascinating stuff.
It is fascinating.
Yeah, it really is more than just mind over matter.
Okay.
You know, it's a real measurable biological response that happens in your brain and your body.
So it's not just wishful thinking then?
No.
What is the science behind this?
Well, studies have shown that when you have placebo analgesia, so pain relief from a placebo, your brain actually activates its opioid system, the cannabinoid system, and even the monoaminergic systems.
Monoaminergic systems, what are those?
So those are pathways in the brain that use neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, those things that are involved in mood and motivation and all that kind of stuff.
Right, so those are really important.
Yeah, so that even suggests that your mood can be influenced by the placebo effect.
Wow.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
And researchers have actually found that if you block the opioid system, like using a special antagonist, you can actually block the pain relief you get from the placebo effect.
Oh, wow. So my brain is actually producing its own painkillers just by believing in the treatment?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's not just imagining the pain relief. Your brain is making these chemical changes that are similar to the effects of real painkillers.
Okay, so there are actual chemicals involved?
Yeah.
But you said it wasn't just chemicals, right?
Yeah, there are specific areas in your brain that are active during the placebo effect, too.
Okay.
The anterior cingulate cortex, the amygdala, and the insula.
Okay, and what do those parts of the brain do?
Well, all those areas are linked to reward processing, expectations, and how you regulate your emotions.
So it's like my whole brain is getting involved.
Yeah, it's tapping into all these neural networks that shape how we see and react to the world.
Okay, so we got the placebo effect. It's real.
Yes.
It's biological.
Yeah.
It's a lot more than just thinking happy thoughts.
For sure.
But isn't this all just about sugar pills?
It's a great question, but actually the placebo effect shows up in a ton of areas of health.
Really?
Yeah, pain management is a classic example, of course.
Right.
But it can also influence things like depression and anxiety. Researchers are even finding that it can have an impact on motor symptoms in Parkinson's disease.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
What are some other examples? I mean, how widespread is this?
There's even some research suggesting that it could have an impact on athletic performance.
Really?
Like if you just believe that you took some performance enhancer, you might actually get better results.
So you're telling me if I think I popped a performance pill, I could actually become a better athlete?
It sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
But it's not just about swallowing a pill. It's about how what we believe and expect can impact our bodies.
Wow. Okay, so this placebo effect is real.
Yes.
It's biological.
Absolutely.
And it's way more widespread than I originally thought.
For sure.
But what is it that actually starts this whole reaction in my brain and my body? What's going on in my mind that's making the stuff happen?
Well, classical conditioning is a big part of it.
Okay.
It's like, you know, Pavlov's dogs. If you repeatedly associate a specific treatment with feeling better, your brain learns to expect that good outcome even if the treatment isn't actually doing anything.
So like if I always take a certain pill when I'm feeling anxious and I start to feel calmer,
right?
You're saying my brain might actually start calming me down just because I'm used to taking that pill, even before the medication has time to actually work.
You got it.
That's wild.
Yeah, and it's not just about the pill itself.
Right.
It's the whole experience, the way your doctor acts, how they explain the treatment to you, even the environment of the clinic can play a role.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've definitely had times where a doctor just seemed really confident about a treatment, and it made me feel better even before I started it.
Right.
It's like their belief was contagious or something.
Exactly.
So a doctor's attitude can actually impact how well a treatment works.
Absolutely. A doctor who's warm and empathetic and believes in the treatment can have a huge effect on their patients' expectations and, as a result, their outcomes.
Wow.
It's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know? What you believe can shape your reality, especially when it comes to your health.
That's pretty powerful stuff.
It is.
But if our beliefs can be that powerful, can't they work against us too?
Oh, for sure.
What about, like, if I'm expecting things to go wrong?
That's a great point. And that brings us to the opposite of the placebo effect.
Okay.
The nocebo effect.
So we're back, and we're still talking about this placebo effect.
Yeah.
And now we're getting into this whole nocebo thing, the flip side.
Yeah, the dark side.
Yeah, so how does expecting the worst actually impact us, like physically?
Well, just like those positive expectations can give you those good outcomes.
Right.
Negative expectations, well, they can do the opposite.
Oh.
You know, if you're convinced that a treatment's going to have awful side effects, you're way more likely to experience them.
Oh.
Even if it's completely harmless.
So it's like my brain is like sabotaging itself.
You could say that, yeah. But again, it's not just your imagination, right?
Okay.
The nocebo effect, it's got a biological basis, too.
Oh, really?
Studies have shown that those negative expectations can actually trigger stress hormones.
Uh-huh.
And those kick off all sorts of changes in your body that lead to negative symptoms.
So it's not all in my head.
No.
It's like my thoughts are actually causing physical changes.
Precisely.
Wow.
Have you ever felt nauseous just because someone told you a medication might cause nausea?
Ugh, I guess.
Or maybe a headache because you were sure a certain food was going to trigger one.
Oh, totally. It's like I'm always looking for things to prove myself right, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, exactly.
So this whole placebo and nocebo thing, it's making me really think about how powerful my mind is.
It is powerful, yeah. It really shows how connected our mental and physical states are.
Right.
But let's change gears a little bit. We've been talking about all this science, but how can we actually use this to get healthier?
Right, good question.
Can we, actually harness this placebo effect?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
Can we actually do something to make this work for us?
Well, there are things you can do, yeah.
Okay.
And one of the most promising areas is open-label placebos.
Okay, remind me, what are open-label placebos again?
That's where you tell people straight up that they're getting a placebo.
Right.
And you see if it still works.
Wait, but if you know it's a placebo, how could it possibly work?
Yeah, I know. It sounds counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But research suggests it actually can be effective.
Right.
Yeah, but of course it's not just like giving someone a sugar pill and saying, this will make you feel better.
Right.
It's how you present it.
Okay.
The patient's understanding of how the placebo effect works, the whole environment, it all matters.
So you're creating this sense of ritual and belief, even though you know there's nothing special in the pill? How does that work?
Well, with the regular placebos, where they don't know it's a placebo?
Yeah.
There's deception, and their belief triggers that subconscious response, right?
Right.
But open-label placebos, those might work a little differently.
How so?
It's about engaging consciously.
Okay.
The patient knows it's inert, but they choose to believe it'll help. They're using their mind-body connection.
That's fascinating. So it's like you're in control of your own healing.
Exactly.
But aren't there, ethical concerns with this?
Oh, yeah.
Is it okay to even use placebos, even if you're upfront about it?
Transparency is key here.
Okay.
Patients need to know exactly what they're getting and why. Open-label placebos, they're not meant to replace real medical treatments.
Right.
It's more of a complementary approach, like adding another tool to your toolbox.
So it's not about ignoring evidence-based medicine.
Right.
It's about realizing that our minds are really important in all this.
Yeah.
And finding ways to work with that.
Absolutely. Open-label placebos are just one example, but more broadly, we can try to have positive expectations and manage the negative ones.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about that doctor-patient relationship?
Yeah.
It's so important to find a doctor you trust and feel comfortable with.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
If you trust your doctor, you're more likely to believe in the treatment plan they give you, right?
Exactly.
But what about outside the doctor's office?
Yeah.
Are there things we can do in our everyday lives to tap into this?
Absolutely. Mindfulness is a great way to start.
Okay.
You can become more aware of your thoughts and feelings, and you can start to change those negative thought patterns and have a more positive outlook.
So if I'm always thinking the worst is going to happen, mindfulness can help me be more hopeful.
Exactly. And there's evidence that shows that this kind of thinking can have real benefits for your body.
Wow.
Reduces those stress hormones, helps you relax.